Hello, Biggs Forest Elementary School. My name is Aaron Solomon. I want to thank you for including me in your career month this year. And what I'd like to do is show you a little bit about who I am, what I do for a living, and the company I work for. Pull up my little presentation here. And I work for a company called Frontier Fire Protection. I am a business development sales manager, and our company works within the fire alarm and fire protection industry. So what does Frontier Fire Protection do? Well, we design fire alarm and fire sprinkler suppression systems. We sell fire alarm and fire sprinkler suppression systems. We install these systems. We service and repair these systems. We inspect the systems, and it's really important to inspect them on a regular basis. Some cities and counties and states require specific number of inspections that have to be done on these systems on a regular basis, whether it's done monthly or quarterly or annually, to make sure that they're properly working. We also monitor these systems. So monitoring means that if the alarm goes off, it will send a signal through the main control panel within the building over to one of our monitoring centers. And at that point, when we determine the specific alarm that we have, we would then get in touch with the fire department or the local authority to make sure they respond to that situation, whether it's a true fire alarm or not. We also want to make sure that buildings are properly protected so people and property are safe. So what is a fire alarm? Well, you can see in this picture here, some equipment you've probably seen in some of your buildings, like your school or other buildings you've been to. You see over here, these are the fire alarm control panels. That's the brain of the fire alarm system itself. All the devices that are installed within the building connect back to that main control panel, and that way it can determine what the devices are. So if an alarm goes off, it knows exactly where those are located. Also, here you see the different devices that you see on the walls. Those are called horn strobes or speaker strobes. So those devices make all the sound when the alarm goes off. And it'll also give a visual alert. So that way you also know what is happening. If you notice here, that little light there, that's called a strobe light. And you've seen it all throughout your school and other buildings you go to. So if the alarm goes off, that's going to have a real bright flash so that everyone knows that there's an alarm in it within the building. This device over here is called a pull station. That is something you don't want to play with. You don't pull that just for the fun of it. But if there is a fire and the alarm is not going off, by all means, that's something that someone should pull to let everyone know that there is a fire in that building. And of course, you want to get out. And another device you'll see in a building is a smoke detector. Everyone has it in their houses, or you have it, of course, in your school and other buildings you go to. And that, of course, will detect if there's smoke in that area. And if working properly, of course, and that's why we want to make sure we're inspecting it so they are working properly. And if smoke is detected, the fire alarm will go off. Next, what is a fire sprinkler system? So these are some pictures of different types of pipes and pieces of equipment you'll see within a building that has a sprinkler system. In that lower left-hand corner, that is the pump system, the pipes that run from the main intro where the water comes into the building. And all these pipes are all filled with water. If fire is in a specific area, it will heat up the bulb that's inside that little sprinkler head that's in the ceiling or maybe along a wall, depending on the type of building. And if that gets hot enough, it will break and water will come pouring out. It won't go out of every single sprinkler head like you might see in a movie. That doesn't happen. It's just within that one area. But of course, if the fire gets bigger, it's going to hit all the areas within the building where there is a fire in that specific location within the building to put the fire out and help people get out of the building or protect the property within that area. Next, what is a fire suppression system? Well, a little different from a fire sprinkler system, where a fire sprinkler is just going to send out a bunch of water to put the fire out in that area. Water can cause a lot of damage. Fire can cause a lot of damage too. So of course you want the fire to go out, but in some cases you don't want a lot of water to be pouring all over the place to destroy property too. So again, we want to protect property and people. So these are three different types of systems that can be in different buildings. One, this suppression system is considered a clean agent system. So what that is that if there's a fire in a specific area protected with clean agent, it sends out a gas, and that gas is going to suck all the oxygen out of the air. Fire needs oxygen in order for it to continue to grow or to continue burning. Well, if you pull the oxygen out, it will take the fire out. And why would you have this in a specific building? Well, in areas like electronic equipment or servers, where you have a lot of computer equipment, other high energy areas to where you want to protect the equipment within that building and contain the fire. If you have a fire within a certain electrical component, putting water on that is not really a smart thing to do, because that can cause other damage. And also water and electricity don't mix. So by pulling the oxygen out of the air, it will hopefully put the fire out and contain the fire to maybe one component within that room, as opposed to the entire room getting destroyed with fire and water. Next, you see a foam system. That's really cool, because a foam system is going to really suppress the fire without using any water. And you would put that in an area where there might be a fire that's really started because of fuel, whether it's gasoline or maybe jet fuel or rocket fuel. And when we have say an airplane hangar, and if there's a fire that has started with some sort of fuel, you don't want to put water on that, because that's just going to spread the fire in other areas of the building. But by putting foam in there, it will extinguish and suppress the fire and limit to where it won't spread to other parts. And also, it's not like putting water on, like I said before, where they could cause other damage to the areas you want to protect. And then another system you see on the left-hand side, that is a water mist system. So water mist, very similar to sprinkler, to where it's going to put out a really fine mist of water droplets. And that will extinguish the fire too, without putting a lot of water at one time. You'll find that sometimes in factories where you have electric machinery, like big construction machinery or other types of machinery that within the area, to where when you put water on top of that, that can cause other damage. So the fine water mist systems are really good for that type of application. So here's some pictures of a couple of our guys doing some work out in the field. So this is our service team doing some inspections as well as repairs. Now on the left-hand side, you'll see one of our guys doing a pressure test on a backflow system. So that's the pipe outside the building where water is fed into the building for a sprinkler. And then you see a couple other guys doing some sprinkler repairs and replacement of sprinkler heads that have gone bad inside of a restaurant. So what types of buildings do we protect? Well, you see some familiar pictures. One is a school. We protect hospitals, hotels, condominiums, or other buildings that people will live in, as well as office buildings. So a lot of buildings you're very familiar with, we protect those. So one of the manufacturers we work with is a manufacturer called Johnson Controls, the brand name AutoCall, and they have created a video I'd like to share. It's a real short video, tell a little bit about the company and the equipment that can be found in a lot of buildings like your school.
When it comes to safety, cutting corners doesn't cut it. That's why we created AutoCall. Fire detection systems designed to do everything but compromise. This isn't just about industry codes, it's about ethical standards. We know lives are at stake, so we never rest, constantly pushing to make our products better, always making sure our customers are satisfied and their facilities are safe. Backed by a legacy of innovation and invention, AutoCall is all about pushing the industry forward. The result? Technologically advanced systems that are intuitive, scalable, and reliable. We believe our customers shouldn't have to compromise. Their people and buildings should be protected by the most reliable fire detection and alarm systems available. With AutoCall, that's exactly what they get. AutoCall. Never compromise.
All right. So you might be wondering, what do I do? Well, in my line of work that I do with this company, I developed a business. So what does that mean? Well, I get to meet and work with contractors, and contractors are companies that build new buildings. I work with general contractors, electrical contractors, mechanical contractors, really anybody that works within a construction field to where we're trying to create and build this building. Because of course, code requires protection from fire. I get to meet and work with architects and engineers to help design and provide our services where needed to help in the beginning phases when they're designing a building. I get to find out if there's a new project, and if there is one, we want to sell a new system for installation. So of course, I'll talk to these companies. Then I get to work with our design team to create an estimate, and what an estimate is, what it will cost to install the system. Then we get to determine a price to sell the new system and provide a quote. We're also known as a bid to the contractor. And at that point, they're going to review the numbers and decide if they want to do work with our company. And if the customer wants to hire us to do the installation, we'll then coordinate with their engineering team to create our floor plans for a permit. We then have to, of course, order the equipment and schedule our installers to do the work. And then once we start doing the work, we need to make sure that we're installing properly to the plans that are approved. And then we want to make sure our job is done and the customer, of course, is happy. And of course, it's really important. We want to make sure that people and property are safe. And that's the main important part of our business. So why have a fire alarm? Well, it's pretty simple. We want to inform people inside of a building that there's an emergency. And it's not necessarily Frontier Fire or me, it's just any company or anyone that requires a fire alarm. We want to make sure that people inside of the building, like you when you're at school, and your teachers and everybody else that's in that building, that there's an emergency they need to get out, or at least be aware that there's something going on in that building. We want to keep you safe in case there is a fire or emergency. The fire alarm also wants to tell you what to do in case there is a fire emergency. Sometimes in larger buildings, you'll have a voice that will come across as opposed to just some loud horns or bells. There's actually a voice system that will tell you exactly what's going on in case of other types of emergencies. And that's also very important. Monitored fire alarms are used to call the fire department, and really they call through a monitoring center. And then the monitoring center will contact the fire department to let them know there is a fire or an event taking place in a building that they need to be aware of. And fire alarms are also very important, not just to keep the people inside of a building if there is a real fire emergency safe, but it's also important to keep the firefighters safe by letting them know exactly where the fire is located in the building. So the newer fire alarms, I'm talking newer, meaning the last, say, 15, 20 years, and even more so now, they're being designed so that way when the fire department does show up, they know exactly where the fire might be taking place, because they don't want to send the firefighters into areas that are really unsafe, or they want to know exactly how to attack the fire to get out, and also be aware where people might be located within the building. So it's really important that fire alarms are up to date and up to current codes, so that way everyone is safe in the event of a real emergency. And that's why it's also very important for you to pay attention during your fire drills. Fire drills are not a joke. It's really important so that way you understand if the fire alarm really does go off, you know what to do. And I know that sometimes maybe your teachers might make it a little bit more fun so that way it's not scary, but it's really important to understand that if the fire alarm does go off, you leave the building in an orderly fashion. It's not a rush. It's not a race. You pay attention, you listen to your teachers, you listen to other people within the building, let you know exactly what's happening if there is a real event. And also know if there really was a fire, not just in your school, but any other building, you know to get out. All right. So it's really important to pay attention. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present what I do for Frontier Fire Protection and what I do within the industry. And I want to wish you all the best of luck during the rest of this career month. Thank you, Biggs Forest.